minutes. I never talked alone. I talk very little. Um, Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Thank you for being here. I believe that behind this project, Souls, Filling Souls, there is a story, and that's my story that God has given me, and I'm happy to share with you tonight about uh, my life and why we are doing this in Honduras. I think everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story about their life and how they came to Christ and how their life has been changed by it. Um, so I'm from Honduras. I come from a family of a lot of people. Well, I grew up with two sisters and another brother, and then a little brother that came later in life when I was 17 or 18. Um, my I didn't grow up with my mother. I remember my life from when I was 5 years old because there was I think the reason I remember my life from when I was 5 is because there was a drastic change in my life. I was moved from living with my grandmother to living with my father and my stepmom, and that's when my life. I remember my life. Is I think that's when my life started, and that's from what I remember. And so I guess my stepmom wasn't very happy that my grandpa dropped a kid there, our house, and um, I started to experience a lot of hate. I never really get any love from my family. I never got an "I love you" or there was never a there was just never really they didn't try to get me to believe or teach me who I am and try to get me somewhere in life. So I was just living and since I was a little kid, I grew up just knowing hate and I never felt loved and I never felt encouraged or I never heard good words from my dad. Uh, he, my dad has his own uh, past, and it was a cycle where my grandpa didn't treat him well, so maybe that's why he didn't treat me well. My stepmom, on the other side, she had a really bad story too. And I have never listened to their testimony. This is just a little bit of what my dad has shared with me the last couple of times I've been in Honduras because we don't really talk about that kind of stuff. Um, so growing up, I went to school and I didn't really have a lot of stuff. My dad, he was a coffee farmer that he lost his business. He broke his back. He trusted his business into his friend, and his friend ended up, I don't know, getting rid of everything. And at the end of the day, my dad had nothing. So the only thing that my dad could save was a house in the city. So we moved from the small farm to the city, and we went to school there. And I remember I was going to second grade when I moved to the city, but I was so embarrassed of all the new people, the new teacher, and this teacher was asking me to read a word, and that word was banana. And there was even a picture of a banana, and I knew what it was, but I couldn't talk. I couldn't say what the word, and it was because I was so scared. Because that's just the way I was. I couldn't talk to anybody. My dad just he was really always put fear in me, and I could never talk to people. I never talk. I was just very different kid because of the situation at home. And uh, when we went to the city, I was going to school. Uh, I I wasn't very smart, so I wasn't very good with math and English, and I was very good with history, and um, but somehow I made it to sixth grade. And in Honduras, that is a big deal if you made it to sixth grade. That's like there is a big party. People celebrate that. When I graduated from sixth grade, there was no party at my house. This lady I was working for, she gave me 100 lempiras, and I went to buy me a cake. On my way from the store, uh, from picking up the cake, some some guy stopped me, and he saw the opportunity in me to, well, evil saw the opportunity to take my life away, and this guy offered me $250, which is 5,000 lempiras. And he pointed me this guy. He gave me a gun, and he wanted me to kill him. And that was an era in my city where the cartels were starting to come out, and cartels were starting to uh, train, recruiting young people, recruiting the kids around my neighborhood, offering a nice ride, offering money, which at that age, when I was in sixth grade, I was like maybe 12, and uh, I went to school with kids. There were no private schools at that time, so I went with kids that they had more money than me. They had better notebooks and better everything, and uh, I thought them having money was a good thing. But that night I didn't do that, and the sad part is like I didn't. I just ran. I ran home, and I brought the cake home, and I couldn't talk to anybody about that. I couldn't tell anybody what happened, and so in my life there was many situations where I was in situations where the enemy wanted to take my life, and were situations where maybe somebody tried to sexually abuse me, in situations where people wanted me to do bad stuff, and they wanted um, a lot of people. There was a lot of bad people that saw their an opportunity in me because I was really smart. I always been really handy. I always say yes to everything. Like I say yes to talk tonight, and and that's just the way I am. And so in the one time I was going from my high school, and I was since I was in a lot of depression. I wasn't a very smart kid in high school. I was the bad kid. I was back there with the other three kids that a teacher doesn't want in their classroom, and it was because it was a really hard life, and I for some reason I wanted to prove myself to be uh, a cool kid maybe, and in a way to forget stuff. I loved being at school. That was my safe place was school, because I didn't have to deal with the stuff at home. And but I was a kid that I would go to school in the mornings. I didn't eat breakfast. I didn't have money to buy a snack, and so I'm many times I did. Uh, I lied to the person that was selling their baleadas, which is like it would be like them tacos for Mexican people. Uh, and there was all these people there trying to buy a baleada, and and hey, I paid 2 baleadas, and I didn't pay the baleadas, so she will hand me the 2 baleadas, and that was just a trick that you know I learned that it worked, and so I will get me some food, and then I will get home, and for some reason my stepmom, she just didn't want to feed me. Like she will make food for everybody, but everybody ate, and then there was no food for me. I didn't have the trust at home to go in the fridge or grab me something, grab milk or nothing. I wasn't allowed in the fridge, and so in being in high school and living like that, and I will even still. I had to steal the stuff from our fridge at home because I wasn't allowed to have anything from it, and. Um, in that moment of my life, I grew up in a Catholic home. Like I went to the church every Sunday. I did everything the Catholic Church says to do, but I never understood the love of Christ because the Father will talk about the love of Christ, but I never experienced love in my life. Uh, I never understood what it was because it seemed like everybody I knew in my life, they wanted to uh, mess up my life, and a lot of people didn't care about it. And when I was in high school, one time I was walking home, and this guy stopped me, and he's a doctor, and he asked me to wash his car. He was gonna give me some money, so I washed his car, and then um, I started to wash cars my high school. So I will have my uniform, which was a white shirt and blue pants, and underneath I will have a pair of work clothes. So I will go to school, and then on my recess I will go wash one car, and then there were two recesses. I will wash two cars, and then the teacher will give me some money. And uh, living in that life where I didn't believe in God. I would go to church and everything, but I didn't really believe in God. And many times I told God that you're not real, that this is not real, and everything is a lie. Like I wasn't happy with my life, and I thought there was no plans for my life. There was no purpose. I never thought, yeah, I will be like every kid has a dream. There will be engineers, there will be firemen, there will be policemen, or a lot of other stuff. Well, YouTubers now. Uh, but Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. I never heard that when I was a kid. But so when I was maybe 13, living in that life where somebody told me to go kill this guy, then another person tried to, my dad's friend tried to sexually abuse me, and things were not going very good in my high school, and some of the teachers didn't want to see me. Um, I thought it was a good idea. I came from school, and I thought it was a good idea to put an end to my life. And that day, I remember I wrote a letter, and I don't know. I think the letter was to my mom because I met her, maybe I met her when I was 12, and my stepmom, she is a great mom to, and at that time she was a great mom to my siblings, but not to me. And I thought moms, they probably had like a superpower. So I wrote a letter, and then I had a knife in my room, and something took over my body. Something took me out of my gut, my legs, And I went running to my best friend's house, and I asked her mom, what is Kike? And she's like, well, he went to this meeting, and all I said is that about God. And she said, yes. And she said, is this place. And I just ran away. I ran to it. And that night, I got, uh, I met Christ. I met the loving Father, the one with all these plans for my life, the one that declares that He has plans to prosper me and not to harm me, plans to give me hope in a future. And the same for everybody. Um, Before that night, I was having really bad dreams. I had a nightmare every night. There was no night. I was never rested because I was never rested because I went to home many times with no dinner. And then I would have these nightmares, and they were horrible. And many of those nightmares, I will dream that I killed my family and I buried them. But when I will wake up and I will be sad because that was not me. That was not something I wanted to do. But those were the dreams in my head, and there was a lot of people that uh, that will kind of encourage me to harm my family. But that night that I met Christ, there was a guy sharing his testimony in this place about how God changed his life, and he came out of a gang, and uh, I didn't. I mean, I never experienced anything of what he experienced, and and that's what I think that your testimony is so important because even if it's not related with your life, God is gonna use it somehow to make your life uh, better and to um, bring you closer to Him. So, being in that moment of my life changed. I stopped having bad dreams. I started to be a happier kid. I understood that God has a purpose in my life, and I started meeting people that told me that they saw something in me, that they believe that God has great plans. There is a great future for you, and God has something special for you. And I'm here. I'm 32. I don't know what's that. If I was 13. So I'm here, many years now, and I understand that. I understand that God really had a plan for me, and there is probably many other plans that uh, He has for me. And there was a time I met a guy at this place where I was going to these meetings about God, and people will share their testimony. There was a guy there that he just started his business selling shoes, and what he did in his life was he was just a believer. He rented this office, and he put a bunch of shoes all around, and he started his shoe store. So people will walk around, and all they see was the same pair of shoes. And one time I didn't have shoes. Most of the time, because I'm tall, I'm taller to be a Honduran, and my feet is bigger than everybody else in Honduras. So all my shoes came from the United States. People will ship them down there, and I will go to like a place that sold shoes, or somebody didn't need them, and they will give them to me. And so I always have old shoes because well, I didn't have anybody to buy me a pair of shoes, or um, I I could not find, even if there was money to buy me the shoes, there probably was not a pair for me. Uh, and so this guy, I went to his store, and he saw that my shoes were bad, and I was looking there at this pair of shoes, and they were brown, and these are the shoes that everybody was wearing, all my people my age, and I wanted those. those shoes. And he said, "I, you know, just fit a pair." And I fit a pair of shoes, and then they felt good. And he's like, "You know what? Just take them." And when I was fitting the pair of shoes, I remember uh, a voice that said, "You will give this back to people." And at that moment, I mean, I was just still a teenager. I don't really have any idea of what I'm gonna do in the future. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I probably will never have uh, money to give this back to people. And life just went by. I kept serving God in many ways. Uh, I went to all over the place in our city. We will go to rural communities and just share with people about God uh, and share with the youth about my life and about how God changed my life. And um, I had the opportunity that even with everything that happened in my life and with people telling me that I should not love my family, God gave me the gift of forgiveness. I had the opportunity to forgive my dad, forgive my stepmom, my siblings, everybody out there that did any or tried to do harm me. Uh, I I forgave them, and that's a gift that God gave me. I don't I don't have anything in my heart against them, against my family or anybody else, because that's the power of God. That's the love of Christ. He forgave me, and I forgiving them because my heart is clean from all that. Yes, there is part of my story now, but I use it to glorify the name of God because it don't matter where people is at. It don't matter what anybody has told you about what your life is or what your life is gonna be like. God has a great purpose for everybody. Um, my life continue in Honduras. I was a hard worker, always being a hard worker. That's another uh, gift that God has given me. I've always been looking out there to find something to do. If I didn't have a job, I would go out to the streets and I will find somebody that looked like needed a hand, and I will offer, hey, I can help you, and just give me some money. And then uh, a guy, he even trusted me. He had a car wash, and he told me, "You wanna come wash cars on Sundays, and you can have the money." And I was like, "Yes." And like life is full of opportunities, and I learned like when I came to this country, I know there is a lot of opportunity here, and I keep saying yes. And if you take advantage of those, there is a blessing out there. So. Um, my life continued until I was 22, and then in 2013, my wife decided to come to Honduras to teach. And a while ago, before that, I had a guy was telling me that I needed to pray for the perfect wife for me. And there is not a lot of blonde people in Honduras, but I wanted to marry a blonde person. So But so I remember, and this sounds crazy, but I wrote in this little paper that this guy he just told me, and he didn't read it on anything. He just right there what your wife needs to be like, and I said, well, God, like I need a really smart wife, smarter than me, because I know, and I want somebody that has a college degree, and she has everything, all that. And then at the very end, I was like, maybe blonde. So and so even on that, God knows the desires of your heart, and so that happened there. And so I met my wife, and then we dated for I don't know, but so the deal is like I end up here in the United States. I spoke very little English, and my first job was at this place, at this church, that which I think that was a great blessing because that helped me to build my confidence about speaking to people. And sometimes I painted. Heather asked me to paint something, and I painted another thing one time because I was still getting to learn English. I messed up the words. I misunderstood a lot, and when we were, I think our second time we were going to Honduras, I was putting my shoes on, and I heard a voice again that says, "You will give this back to people," and all that part of my life came back where I was fitting the brown pair of shoes at this store. And so I talked to my wife about it. I told her the story. Then we talked to pastor, and I think the year we gave uh, we brought like 25 pair of shoes, and we went to these communities. We brought some cash too, and we went to these rural areas from my city, and we prayed for people, and we gave shoes to kids, and we make these bags. It will have rice, sugar, coffee, all the needs for a family to have a meal, and that's how souls feeling souls started, and that's how we all the money that you guys give, even if it's $1, $2. Uh, some people has given a lot of dollars, and they provide a pair of shoes for these kids in Honduras. And every time we go down there, we have these schools that we choose in these rural areas, and they will receive a pair of shoes. And there is a lot of kids living the same story as mine. There is some kids that they never received a brand new pair of shoes before, and when we are down there giving the shoes to these kids, they are happy. It's like you see all these kids running over there, then they run this way, then they come here, and then they are talking to the other kid of my shoes, and let me see yours, and then you will have the kid that comes and tells you that he never received a brand new pair of shoes before. And all we do, I don't come down there with a big sermon. All I need to tell people is that Jesus is there, that Jesus is for them, that there is a plan for their life, and that Jesus loves them. And it does. I'm we've been doing this, and every time we go down there, we bless the people in Honduras, or you bless the people in Honduras with your donations. And my belief is that these kids will never forget that. That I mean, I might never see any of these kids, but I hope that that seed is there, and when life is hard, they will remember that there is Jesus. And I believe that Jesus will come to you uh, when you are not expecting him, like he did with me. I was that day that I was gonna finish my life. I wasn't expecting God to take over my body. The Holy Spirit took over my body, and that's a feeling that I cannot describe because my body was literally moving. I was moving like a zombie to that place, and that's what God does. So that's my hope. That's my hope for these kids. We give them a pair of shoes. We tell them that Jesus loves them, and if life, if there's some of them that are living a really hard life, but if sometimes it just gets harder, they will remember that. uh, Jesus is there. And now we have been partnering with a pastor in Honduras that he runs. He has several churches in these rural areas. So all these kids, they are going to school. We have a little. There is a little church uh, in a little city close to where I'm from, and these kids they meet there every Saturday. Um, so this is the story with these kids is that there was an abandoned church, and these kids will go there every Saturday and they will play around and play soccer and just being kids. My friend, she drove by and she saw that these kids were always there. So she was like, well, I'm going to stop by. I'm going to bring them a snack and I'm going to talk to them about God. So, and this was 4 years ago and they still meet there. Actually, this picture here, that's the back wall of that church and you can see where it's all up in the roof. And they made us that little sign when we were there last. And they have a bunch of little letters that they wrote to us because they are really thankful for the snacks and they are really thankful for the school supplies and the shoes that the people of this church and our community has make possible for us to give them. Um, so maybe I'm speaking about souls filling souls, but what God, I don't have a lot to talk about that. We don't, we are not like a big mission down there, but we do our best and what we can. But I believe that uh, maybe God wanted to speak to you about through my testimony, and I hope uh, that if anybody here don't doesn't think that God has a plan for their life, I encourage you to wait and pray, and there is something great for everybody, uh, for everyone from God. He has a great plan for our life. So that's some of my story and of what we do in Honduras. If you have any questions, I will be willing to answer. If anybody has, I don't know, anything to ask, you're welcome to. Sorry, huh? 5 or 6. Our biggest outrage was last year because we went there and then COVID hit, so we had like 3 years where people was giving us money, and we helped throughout the year. Down there, there is like this little church. We try to help those kids at least twice a year. Like um, we will do school supplies and shoes around uh, this month, and then we will do like a Christmas. They have a little party, so we send money for them to have some little gift. So the shoes. So the guy that gave me the pair of shoes now he's a wealthy guy down there, and uh, uh, he sells the shoes to us at cost. So he's not making money on these shoes, and they are very good shoes. They leather. So we went back to schools before where the kids were wearing this the shoes that we gave them the year before, and yeah, so they were ready for the new ones. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. The same guy, and he provides. When we go down there, he let us use his truck, and yeah. So. So right now, last year we were um, buying shoes around $12 a pair. So $12 will buy a pair of shoes, and again, last year we reached 1,000 pairs, and I don't know this. I don't think we will make it down there this year, but we have the people down there that will make it possible if we come up come up with an amount of money. We can pick some schools down there and we can make it happen. So, oh yeah, yeah, we have a little video that we can play, and I thank you, all of you, for being here tonight, and I appreciate anybody that has helped us, and uh, God bless you. Yeah. Honestly, I talk to my coworkers, to people I just met, and here at the church. But I don't go to other places. Yeah. Hmm. If anybody has ideas, yeah, conference. Huh? 600 people. Mm. Yeah. Well, we can talk about it. Well, I mean, for shoes for kids, yeah, yes, yes. So what we do is, like, throughout the year we receive all the this money that we have an account with the church, and if that is, let's say, these kids here, this a friend tells me, okay, we're going into school, we need some school supplies, and we don't send a lot of money, because I mean, I send it $200, $100, and that will buy a lot of notebooks and pencils. And so, again, we're not sending thousands of dollars, but 100. So $1 is 25 lempiras in Honduras. So a regular, the minimum salary in Honduras is about a person that a regular laborer is making $5 a day. So if you do the math, most of these kids we help, they are making $4 or $5 a day. Their parents, and they live with that money, or they try to make it with that money. So, um, that's the people we help. Yeah. 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 No, yeah, I understand. Yeah. Mm. Well, and that's, yeah, that is, yeah. We have had people come with us, friends, before, and the pastor we work with in Honduras, he actually has an apartment, a really nice apartment that he built down there, or people from the United States build down there for when their missionaries go down there. So if anybody wants to come, is yeah. Yes. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Normally we do June or July, you know, between. So yeah, probably. Well, we hope. Yeah. 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 And see, we have a, yeah, yeah. No, you're welcome to come. It's a, I mean, I enjoy the experience, and um, the I think anybody that comes will enjoy the experience, and you don't have to be holy to show the love of Christ, because you will sometimes you will be there and there is a need, and you will start praying for that person or a kid or whatever, and you will see the miracle happen. So and so yeah. So thank you everybody for your time. And who do I give the microphone to? Oh, the video. Yeah, let's do it.